And I mean, it is a function of the position of the microphone, but I mean,
I'm still not sure
you can
what's
do it for
ideal.
anyone, but it does comes off as a fat thing, I mean, my breathing is louder.
Oh, yeah.
Gained weight, but
Oh, really?
yeah, for sure. I mean, hard to know. It also has coincided with aging. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I am older.
Yeah.
Every day.
Never going to be younger than you are right now.
All right.
Again.
So I think that I have the sequencing of these things right, but it's been a long time, so I could be wrong.
Okay.
I feel like we do that enough. But yeah, so I just want to be clear. Whenever inevitably there will be the takedown attempts. The people,
fact checkers.
Well, just the people being like, actually, that place is great for those kids. And maybe some part of what they will do is, prove that my timeline is faulty. And whenever they do, I want them to know it's not like anything. I'm doing my best.
Yeah, we're doing our best, dude. Of course. That's part of what we're doing here is trying to figure out the timeline. I already first thought I never restrained a kid and now think that I participated in a restraint.
Yeah.
Part of
a lot
this
of stuff's
is
coming back.
For sure.
In ways that it hasn't in 20 years.
Yeah. I'm glad we're doing
I haven't heard that name in 20 years.
Definitely. And I mean, I think that it's good to do these quick reminders that we're just doing our best in terms of what we recall. And other people can have different versions. That's fine.
And I'm certainly structuring this narratively, like I'm building. But I do think that's how it occurred in my head. It was like...
You can't tell it any
you're getting
other way.
punished for this, and now we're pissed at you for this, so we're going to punish you again. And now we're pissed, so we're going to punish you again. And then it's escalating. So... Yeah, I am right about the sequencing on this one. I think.
I believe
How about that? So I had a visit where I was going off campus with my parents. What's up?
Real quick,
Yeah.
I've been meaning, you were right about the cell phones. That's another correction, dude. When I said I came back and remember seeing a kid with a cell phone, I bet that was the second time I came back.
Okay.
That makes more sense with the timeline. That hit me this morning.
What was the second time?
So because I came back 2 times.
Yeah. What was the second time?
Thanksgiving-ish time, freshman.
So whenever you came back with the pancakes,
yeah,
you came on campus?
Time.
Why'd you come on campus?
I think we briefly came on campus.
Okay.
And that's when I saw the cell phone and was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Versus the first year when I came and gave a talk.
Because I want to be clear.
I conflated the times. I just think it's an example, and I did want to let you know that I do think you were right about that.
I appreciate that because I felt like I was taking crazy pills.
No, you were. I'm pretty sure you were right, and that's a good example, dude. We're doing our best, but it's just this morning I was like, that's probably what it was.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because as we established, you got phone calls home. For a long time, they were on landlines. At some point...
They were monitored by an older kid. That's why a kid on a cell phone, I was like, what the fuck?
And staff members.
Yeah. Oh, and staff. Yeah.
There'd be a staff, and then there'd be a kid for each kid.
There was a closet probably as big as this rectangular area. I mean, a little bigger, but...
that was the first, but...
That's all. That's what I mostly remember. I mean, there were tons of stations, I
They
guess.
moved over to the office.
Oh, okay.
You remember that.
Vaguely. Now that you say it, I can
probably
picture
a year that you were there that they were doing it then.
Yeah, but I can picture it at all kinds of different spots. It was that's what I'm saying. It was at different areas.
Yeah, they had calling cards.
Yeah, yeah, dude. You could do some damage. I think some of the kids that ran away ended up taking some calling cards.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so you could call.
Yeah, they were those old
his lady.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so the cell phones was just at some point people weren't spending the evenings, the school was too large for everyone to spend the evening in the lodge.
Okay.
So you'd be spending them up at those houses that they had built for themselves, and then whenever the school expanded and they thought they could get more money, they moved everything into those houses. And so then you had to have a way of still doing parent phone calls while having the kids up there.
Okay.
So they needed to have cell phones. They were carried by staff. The kid was probably ending his phone call with his parents or something like that.
He was turning off the phone.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember him being all right. And I was like, this is nuts to me. It just.
But
the
you were
only-
like, I know what you're saying.
That's the only image I had, and that was the first
Yeah.
I had heard of it. It was just a kid in a I think he was in a jumpsuit, and he was like, "All right, bye."
Yeah.
I was just
That's
like,
wild.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no. One time I went, man. Whenever we were doing this in my house, I showed you my debate trophy.
Yeah.
And I got that because I don't even remember how. I think it was just like a Facebook message or something. It was one of the times I visited Mike. The debate teacher was like, "Hey, the school's closing down. If you want this stuff, you can have it." And I'm like,
Whoa.
I'm there anyways. Like
That's
anytime
cool.
I was presented with an opportunity to go back to campus, like just to see it, like I would take it. Like it's fucking wild.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I don't know. I had been, obviously, as I said back there, I took a bus from Austin. For some reason, like I passed through Houston. Maybe a bus from Austin to Houston to Dallas instead of Austin to Dallas. And so it took me all on the route of like up to Huntsville and like Conroe and stuff, like on the way back to Dallas. And it brought me back in a way that like kind of fucked with me. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I would
It more
go back.
reminds me of visiting Mike at this point.
That's tight. Yeah. And you did that a lot. I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I've just been thinking about it because I noticed that I'm pretty sure the event page for like, okay, because, I was looking at the social media, for the Instagram page for the like Stop Excel Instagram.
Yeah.
I think the owners of Serenity Rose, or like the page for Serenity Rose events, follows the Stop Excel Instagram account.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting? Like, what do they think is going on here?
Yeah, I mean,
know?
I don't know.
Because I think I saw their page and it was like follows or whatever.
I mean, it might just be that it is the people who run the school run that, or who used to run the school run that, and so they want to see what they're saying about them.
You think it's possible that the people who run the school
Like that it's-
currently run the Serenity Rose as an event space?
Why would it be called Serenity Rose otherwise?
Because that's the name of the street.
Yeah, I know, but
That was my hypothesis.
no, you're right. It's a possibility.
I mean,
think
I can't rule out.
I
your
think more
hypothesis.
likely that the people who were moved to name the street would be so moved again to name their events company that.
Yeah, I have no doubt if they ran the event company Serenity Rose Events. I mean, obviously, it's in the list of possible names. High on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, strong hypothesis from you. Certainly, I can't rule it out.
Yeah. Not a certainty though.
Yeah, that's not what we're here to resolve today.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so whenever I came back to pick up that trophy, like I heard a teacher yelling like, "Put your iPods away." And I'm like, "What are we doing here?"
Oh my
I mean, this is
gosh.
like all the people we're talking about are gone. At some point, I think the last like year and a half, like Jamie got fired by Aspen.
Funny.
And I don't know anything about what went down, and I hope by the end
Cannot
of
wait.
this process we'll learn everything.
I hope to. Please.
So if you have information,
Yeah.
tc@itsjustbanter.com is my email address. That's what's up.
Definitely.
All right. So so
iPods.
I'm living in the house that Jamie and Sally built for themselves.
The mansion.
Yes.
Yeah. I hope you like the floors. What did you think of them?
I didn't have a strong opinion. They seem fine.
Okay. What about the paint job?
It's okay.
Thank you.
I do remember them bitching about, like, they had some line of, like, you can pay people to make houses bigger, but you can't pay them to make it nicer. Like, everything here fucking breaks.
Huh.
Like,
Well, yeah. It was built by the same guy that built the quad dorm, I'm pretty sure.
oh, yeah?
Uh-huh. And he came to some dinner theaters. And
yeah?
he told his story.
I half remember that.
Because,
What?
everyone has to tell their story. You always have to narrativize your life into like you turn your life around kind of
When
thing.
were you talking to him?
He told his story to the whole school.
When?
About like how he turned his life around and stuff. That's what
What?
I'm saying. I've noticed it since in like many cultures, including like evangelical Christianity. There's like when you
I just
come
don't
to your
remember
new
this.
way of life. And for a lot of people, for him, it was, I think, like he got married and had kids and he was like, I'll stop drinking so much. You can say it that way, or you can be like, I was out partying with the boys too much, carousing around, and I met this woman. And he'd like do it like that, which people like doing. I like doing, even as I was making fun of it just now. I was like, I did,
We're doing plenty of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Now.
Yeah, for sure, dude. And then forget it when you have kids. And I actually do remember he was like, I used to, because I'm not going to say the name of his company because I don't remember. It was ABC initials.
Okay.
And it involved his daughter's name.
Okay.
And I don't want to put his daughter out there like that. You know what I mean?
I can't believe you remember any of this, dude.
Yeah, it was weird.
I have no recollection of this.
I remember everything interesting that ever happened to me. Like,
what a claim. I mean, how can I prove you wrong? I can't.
I'm really realizing as I say that I sometimes forget things that you tell me, but please recall that as you tell them again, I often remember them.
Yeah, I don't know if that counts. I'm struggling to do it here.
Dude.
Although, it's one of those things, I can never tell. I don't trust my memory at this point. It's like anytime it's something like this, by the end of it, I'm like, oh, yeah, of course I do remember that.
Yeah. You remember this dude?
Not really.
Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, like, I can imagine what you're saying, and I don't know if that's a memory or if it's me imagining what you're saying.
His big lesson, dude, that I still do remember, and it hits me more now as a dad, is he was like, and I thought when I met this woman, I would never do anything that I wouldn't want her to know about, But shit, man, now I don't do anything I wouldn't do in front of my daughter. And that steers me right. And I was right on, brother. I guess. Like,
we'll keep you out of trouble.
I get the point. I can think of some things. But, yeah, I get his point. But
I mean, how's she going to have siblings?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want to get graphic, but yeah.
I don't feel like I did.
I think you nailed it, dude. But they definitely bid out that shit. I mean, they were using Aspen money for some of that construction, it seems. I don't think they were going out of their personal pockets at that point.
It's classic. That'd be the point of capital.
Right.
Provide resources that allow for future profits.
But the circle I can't quite square is they probably had budgets.
Sure.
And so why would they be, unless they really just didn't care and it was more just fuck it, have the kids do it. And it wasn't the cost savings were incidental, versus this was strategic. But we were a crew of dudes who worked all day on these houses.
Yeah.
And this dude bid to build the houses. We were working alongside his workers. And some of those, I was there for free basically at that point. My parents weren't paying. Mm-hmm. I think they were technically paying a fraction of what kids would pay. That was technically for food. But other kids, I think were paying regular tuition to be there.
Sure.
And just painting and laying down floors all day.
That doesn't sound out of step with.
Yeah. And what they told us was what he was going to do was pay for our prom shit. That was the trade-off. He was paying us, but they were going to put it to our prom shit. So I guess our tuxedos. I know a kid got his eyebrows waxed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude, I can remember. Know. You do know him.
I'm using process of elimination, I have a guess.
Yeah, I think it might have been more than one. But there was never any accounting or anything, is what I'm saying. And it's how much did that dinner at Landry's cost? You know what I mean?
It's of course. Yeah, no, you put in more work than was going to obviously, dude.
Yeah.
You had to know that the second it left their mouth.
Well, dude. Check I haven't read the human trafficking statute. I almost refuse to so that I can keep saying shit like this. Just be check the statute.
Yeah.
Seriously, I have not.
No, whenever you mention eyebrows, we had a kid, and I mean, I would love to talk more about this in detail at another time. But we had a kid who was there from Jordan, the country of Jordan. He lived in Amman.
Amman.
His family was tied in to the royals somewhere. He had a picture of his grandpa with King Hussein.
Of Jordan.
Yeah.
Dang.
And
Shit.
when he
dude.
got there, the kids in the kitchen, he liked them the way that any, like, whatever. We'll do more on that another time. I hope it's not frustrating that we keep saying that, but we've only done.
Dude, we have to do the whole.
This is the 10th episode.
This is the 10th episode.
By the time I think it is.
Yo, big up, dude. I
might
feel
be the
like they've
9th.
flown by. Oh, well then I take it back.
Yeah.
Either way,
Right?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's the 9th.
Okay.
And
Double digits is going to be big for me. I don't want to get.
well, next Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'll see you next Tuesday.
Ha.
So they just were fucking on him about his unibrow. Like, he had one of the more pronounced unibrows
Yeah.
I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
And they were on him enough about it that he shaved his unibrow so that he had two
Shaved it.
separate eyes.
Okay.
Eyebrows.
Yeah. Plenty
And,
of kids did that.
And I guess in his culture, that codes as like a homosexual thing.
Whoa. Well,
like
it's a
the
sign
way-
of virility for
The way
sure.
it was explained to me was that it's like pink shoelaces was the specific example used by, I don't know if it's a staff member. It was someone being like, yeah, it's like pink shoelaces over here.
Is having
Shaving
two eyebrows.
shaving that
Or when
eyebrow,
it's, like,
shaving that
shaved.
unibrow.
Dang.
And so his dad saw it and was like, what the fuck are you doing to my son?
Dang. Did the kid go home off his unibrow?
Of course not.
Oh, okay. So,
He
question.
was there for much longer. I mean, he was there when I left.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, if you know, if you're in Jordan and you're walking around with a unibrow, are you just like beating off the ladies with a stick? Like, are they just like, I must have you? Or is it just like, yeah, you look like a dude, like you're a regular heterosexual man? You have a unibrow as you should.
I don't know.
Because pink shoelaces is like,
know.
you're going. I was just wondering if you
Yeah.
explained it in more detail.
No.
Yeah.
I've told you everything I remember
Okay.
about this incident.
Okay.
But
Some
yeah,
of those kitchen boys had unibrows. I'll tell you that.
well, not in their opinion.
Yeah. Well, they were very masculine dudes at times, the people running the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting pendulum, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll get there.
But so I was on a visit. So this is the era. I mean, obviously, because this story happened close temporally to the other story I just told. This was definitely a Jamie Standing makeshift amphitheater life skills era.
Yeah, holding up a skull.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Are there torches?
No. And a common thing that she started doing more, like life skills are always very cyclical. Like she only knew the ideas she'd been doing for the last couple weeks. And then sometimes
Yeah.
she would forget those,
I
and
can
then it would
relate
be
to
an
that.
entirely different set of things.
Yeah.
And so during this time, it was a big thing that, like, kind of early on in life skills, when, someone that, like, there was stuff that she wanted to deal with herself, and there was stuff that she knew needed to be dealt with, but, like, and it needed to be dealt with for longer than, like, a minute, but she didn't want to take her time for it.
Yes, dude.
She would like name out like 3 kids that she trusted and be like, you go take him over there. You figure out, you get to the bottom of this. Tell him,
So like a kid who's acting up, she would be like, you and you go out there and talk to this kid.
yes.
Tell him to straighten out.
And then you just are doing your best. And I can't tell you how much time of my life was spent
You're middle management, dude.
trying to like manage these. Trying to like
You have no
do
authority.
motivational speaking to like these kids.
You have no actual authority. All you can be is like, come on, man.
yeah, but
like-
you were expected to do a lot more than that, and I tried. Like
So what'd you do?
I mean, I can't remember. I don't. remember.
Or you're gonna tell your story anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, it's only important to the story because this was happening to me during this time all the time. So I was like physically there listening to her speak in life skills like 10% of the time.
So you were one of the guys that would be sent to go talk to a
Yes.
kid. Yeah.
Even
okay,
when I
okay.
was in jumpsuit during this time,
You would still have to.
they were still getting their money's
yeah.
worth out of me.
Yeah.
Like
their money's worth out of you.
They
That's
knew
funny.
that they could continue to like that. They like it's more or less an acknowledgement by them that this is a fucking game.
Yeah, because you're not really a bad kid, even though you're in jumpsuit.
Like they
We're still
expect me
gonna
to do all the
rely-
things that benefit them of like keeping the other kids in line.
Definitely.
Like they hadn't. They weren't like, well, he's so fucked up he can't even do that. Like
Right.
they knew their actions didn't change. It was just
Right.
their their words were like, you're a piece of shit. You haven't learned anything, etc.
Right. But we will still continue to hold you out as a guy.
You haven't learned
that
anything,
can
but go
tell
teach
other
him a
kids-
bunch of lessons.
Yeah.
And so I'm spending very little time in life skills.
That's so interesting. This is unheard of to me. I mean, I know the phenomenon you're describing now that you're describing it.
And I mean, just imagine if the school was
I'm
several
exactly,
times bigger.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's clearly a mechanism they adopted to manage that.
yes.
And it's interesting as the gaps start to fill in how they lost control and exactly what was going on there, knowing that it appears I don't know, but it appears from what I've heard they got fired at the end from what they created. That's no shocker when private equity comes in. It cycles through often.
Have you ever read
founders-
Barbarians to Bureaucrats?
Oh my God, we got to do a week for that. Yeah, definitely. If you think we're not going to cite Barbarians to Bureaucrats,
The joke there, listener, is that I've never read that book. Alex has recommended it to me many times. I have no
Yes.
doubt that it's good. Every time you talk about it, I like the value that
Well, it
you're
is one of those
bringing
books
with
where,
the
like,
ideas.
the whole thing's in the title, dude. It's like
Yeah.
you need to be a barbarian to start a business, but as it expands, you need bureaucrats to run it.
Yeah, whenever you say it, it doesn't make me feel like I need to read it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
But it's a useful idea.
I was reading it while I was in a law firm where I was like, these fucking bureaucrats don't know how to handle a barbarian like me. That's the real problem. I actually do still believe that, though. But that's why I was, like you talk about reading a book and realizing you're not alone. I was like, these people made sense. So actually, in the course of me getting fired almost, I gave that book to like one of the people that fired me. And I was like, y'all need to read this because this is what's going on here. And
Wouldn't
I
the
didn't
thesis
take-
of the book ultimately tell you to fire you?
no, dude, because it's like the whole point of the book is like if you bureaucrat out, and it's written in the 80s, dude. So it's like the full administrative state has now taken hold. So it's written for bureaucrats. And it's kind of like a lesson teaching for them because, the barbarians already know. So it's like, how do you, as you expand, keep the spirit of your mission while you go beyond the Dunbar? And you have to formalize and bureaucratize. How do you do that without losing the spirit of your endeavor? At Excel, it's funny because it's kind of like fuck the spirit, but then it's like, well, you can look to there's something admirable at some point for some people there. So then you don't want to say totally fuck the spirit. So then it is interesting to hear like exactly how these things slipped.
But see, yeah, I'm glad you're going on about this because
anyway, it's a great book.
this is like what's occur. Like you're watching like a seam open up as a result of this. So they're doing all this, and like at some point in there was a kid who had been there a while, then left, and then was there a while again. You met him, but you weren't there for like the comeback or anything like that. I don't know how to identify him to you. I'm not sure that you would remember him.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the phenomenon of people.
Yeah.
That.
But so
timeline.
just like his total days spent on campus was by that point like pretty fucking high. But it was different times, and so whatever. He had kind of a unique status.
I'm sure.
And so he got brought up for something, and Jamie was like, he's fucked up. He can't shadow anymore. Like, I don't want him around other people or whatever.
Yeah.
While I'm helping another kid. So like I don't hear her say that.
Okay.
And then I go leave for a visit, like, that's like a Tuesday, I think. Friday, my parents are like on camp, like waiting for me in the car. And I'm like, I asked like 3 other kids and they were all like, no, I will not watch your shadows. Like I had people that I was responsible for that I had to physically pass off to someone. If you went to staff and like told them something like that, they'd be like, it sounds like a problem you should enjoy solving. I wish you luck.
Go figure it out. Yeah.
No one's ever going to help you with any shit like that. And then the kids I'm asking for help who fucking should have helped me did not.
So I'm not sure, just to make sure a listener understands this. So TC's a senior kid at this point. He's responsible for like 2 or 3 junior kids that have to be supervised by him, because this is another one of these, like, how do you manage the growing school things?
Yeah.
So what's happening is often it was an annoying dynamic. So the kids who had this responsibility would often jockey with each other, even for things like I got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Or like I'm going to go grab my dinner or whatever. It's like, or I have to shower or whatever. Like, can you watch my shadows? Very loaded question, but you generally do need to do it because you need someone to do it for you.
Yeah.
And so the situation, I think that to be clear, this is a
during
frustrating...
visits, just
yeah.
During visits, they would have to rewrite the shadow list anyways.
Of course, if you're going to be gone. Yeah.
But mine, because it was a Friday one, like they weren't going to do that till the next morning. So whoever I passed them off to would have to watch them like that night.
So
and then they'll figure it out in the morning.
Okay, so that is a big pass off then. That fucking would
But what
suck.
do you want me to do? Not go on this fucking visit?
Well, you got to go. Yeah. And it's like, at some point, someone's got to take him.
But so, like, 4th person I ask is the guy who she said, with not me around.
Right.
I haven't heard a single fucking word of this.
And it's not like there's a life skills bulletin that goes out after every life skills where it's like, here's every rule Jamie made up.
It's not an email.
Yeah. And so no one told you that a few days before Jamie had said that this kid can't shadow anyone anymore.
I just asked him, like, hey, will you watch my guy?
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. And I mean, you could tell I was flustered, like, because they're waiting on me.
Yeah.
And, like, in a second here, I'm not going to be here. So let's get to that pretty fucking fast.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so I pass my shadow off to him. He doesn't say he just says yes.
Yeah. So he doesn't tell you I'm not allowed to shadow.
Exactly.
He just says, okay.
Yeah.
That sucks, man. That's like a perfect storm of trouble.
And then I get back Sunday.
Fuck.
And I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know who would watch. Like, I don't know if that kid kept on watching him through the weekend. He might have.
Okay. Wow.
But I don't know because I wasn't there.
Right.
But then Sunday night, after everyone's like tucked in and asleep, that kid and another kid run away.
Oh shit! So the kid you passed off and the kid to whom you passed him off both.
No. The kid I passed off runs away with an unaffiliated person not mentioned in the story.
Oh,
yet.
Okay.
But then whenever they track him down, which they do.
Yeah. Okay.
More
often than not,
it's now like that's the first problem we got to solve is get him back.
Sure.
Once that problem's solved, and we've already introduced by talking about your experience with it.
Yeah.
The next problem is someone is going to get jumpsuited for this. Let's start figuring out who it is.
Minimum one person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's me.
Of course.
Because we told you not to pass off to him. You told me? I wasn't there. I was doing what you told me to do.
Yeah.
Like, you told me, go fucking talk with this other kid.
Yeah.
While you talked with the guy that's not supposed to shadow. Like, what's the thing you wanted me to do? Like, draw out for me a reasonable scenario under which I could have... And so it's what you're talking about of, like, she is... And I mean, whatever. I'm sure that in her personal life, she's not adapted to allow for herself to be at fault for a lot of things, period.
Right.
But I mean, what's happening here is that like she thinks that everything she says is being heard in exactly the same way that it always has been. But because she is altering life skills to adjust for the fact that there's these more kids, like you make the joke about the bulletin, and like it's a good joke.
Right.
But like honestly, they needed one.
Yeah. Well, I'm
The group was
sitting
large
here-
enough that the message is not going to get out another way.
Dude, I'm sitting here thinking, being like, of course she was mad at you because you were like the face of her. Even she had to realize that they were losing control. Like they had lost control of this kid because of the expanded size and her reliance on this like deputizing tactic. Like really, you never would have passed him off if you knew Jamie said you can't pass him off to him.
That's
that
correct.
would be suicidal, dude. You'd be suicide king, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so it's just like,
I mean, I certainly would have been like sweating it all visit.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Jesus, I hope that worked out.
Oh my gosh.
Whereas
yeah.
I didn't give it another second thought because the kid had been there for fucking ever.
Yeah, well, I mean, the rule had to be made
And I'm just
because he
watching him
was
for Friday.
allowed to shadow.
Because there was different rules about shadow. Like, they were reactive to the fact that, like, on weekends, kids who were doing well, like, got to go away. And so
they
the standard of who could and could not shadow a problem kid changed
Very
because,
flexible. Yeah.
you know, it had to. Like, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, I guess not run a school like this.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The weekend that you graduated, we agree that we can use names of deceased
sure.
compatriots.
I think so.
The weekend that you graduated, they were like, it was historically low time for the ability, like just all the kids who they trusted were
they're with
either
their
leaving
parents.
or like, what did you do? Where did you go whenever you graduated?
I think we maybe went to the lake
Did you ever go back to New Jersey?
while I was at Excel.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Not once?
never. They didn't really do it like that while I was there. I don't think a kid had a home visit I mean, maybe they started as I was leaving.
I know that the kids who lived in Houston that they trusted, they got
As
home
I
visits.
was leaving, well, like home visit, like they went to their parents' house and slept there in Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that started as I was leaving,
Okay.
like the year I left
So I mean, they would put me on a plane.
to Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess now that you mention it, I mean, I know we drove to the airport to drop kids off, but I think that was usually for a kid going home. But like, our friend Daniel, when he, had he has to tell the airport story at his own way.
I hope he
but
does.
I agree. But like, I think that was a kid going to the airport for a visit. That's why Daniel was there. So I guess you're right, but I think it was like as those started up, I was about to leave anyway. So I went to New Jersey like that same year, but as a college student.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I can't remember, because I definitely on some trip went and visited some colleges, but all in Texas.
Okay.
And I can't remember if that
I
was...
remember that.
Yeah. I can't remember if that was like when I graduated or a year later.
Just because your visits were notable.
Yeah, I mean,
They were infrequent.
about one a year, I
Yeah.
would say. And so
So whenever you knew you had a list of kids in your head of whom that was true, and then whenever they got one, it's like, wow, that's a big deal.
I guess. I mean, not to me because I was
I mean,
one
I
of
can
them,
name
maybe.
other kids, but I don't know.
I actually
whatever, we're
can't.
not.
I can't remember. I mean, maybe they wouldn't appreciate it, but I can't remember kids who like didn't. I can remember one person, but it's not someone you know.
Just the kid who walked off to call the lady with the calling cards. He got a visit
Oh,
like
that's true,
once
yeah.
the entire time.
Really? Because I shadowed a visit of his.
I mean, maybe it was twice. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't. It wasn't a lot. It was like that. And I mean, I
Now
think
that you
that
mention
the
it, I
dynamic
can-
was that it was a very large family.
Yeah, something
It's
like
like,
that.
are we going to find someone to watch these 8 kids? We're going to
Stuff.
bring all 8 kids with? What are we going to
Yeah,
do?
yeah,
Because they
yeah.
didn't live close.
Yeah, exactly.
Several
it
states
is-
away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just going to tell you, Robbie shadowed my visit the weekend that you graduated.
Whoa.
It was wild. Like, I didn't really, know how to, I can't, to
What do
me
you
it
do
seemed
with that,
insane.
dude?
Like, just because the way they treated him was, kind of arm's length. Like, he was there for a long time, but,
He had to have been like 20 something at that point.
maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it's hard without going into Robbie's whole story to explain why that's a weird setup. But he's dead now, an R.I.P. dude, obviously, to
Yeah.
every dead Excel kid.
Of course.
And dude, Robbie was, He had quite a life.
To me, he's a pretty sympathetic figure.
I agree.
Not everyone does agree, but to me, he was.
Well,
but it was the kind of thing where I guess I didn't really want to tell my parent, but like it was wild me like kind of sitting there like knowing like this is crazy.
Yeah,
like he
didn't
do
really
this.
socialize like a normal person.
But I think my parents like liked him all right. Like he was friendly,
nice,
and he was definitely
guy by that point.
Yeah, and I mean like it wasn't something he regularly got to do, so I think he was pretty excited to do it.
I'm sure he did fine. Yeah, I'm sure he was polite.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man. That almost reminds me. Actually, this is another thing that comes up. It's almost like not really a shadow, though. Like he's not. It just seems like a weird situation.
I just didn't think they wanted to send me the message that they thought that I was ready for unshadowed visits.
You haven't earned an unshadowed visit, but
so
we're
going
not
to put
actually
someone.
Worried.
I mean,
it
was like this was. I mean. The kids that they actually trusted to shadow visits, like they had more pressing cases.
Right.
Like there's other kids with visits that had been there less time than I was.
Right.
And so they had to put it on them. So it's like, well, we're going to put if they had to have the dog do it, the dog would have done it.
Right. Which Robbie loved chasing dogs.
Yes, that's true.
I have a picture of Robbie and his favorite dog.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'll dig it out.
Okay.
I definitely have it here.
But yeah, so that kid ran away. I got jumpsuited. That was the third jumpsuit.
Dang. This is all in 4 months.
Yeah.
This is tough.
And then the fourth one. So there was a kid who was there for, like, he had already graduated. He must have, because he was older than me. But he got there really close to his graduation. And I don't know exactly how all this factors in, but like I would assume that like that's the richest parents that ever came through.
Okay.
So it was just
That's
kind
the
of
Paris
like
Hilton of Excel.
Oh, and here's the other deal. They had like a deal with him that I believe was talked about like in Life Skills publicly. I think that's how I knew about it. That his parents said like so he was all right. Back up.
Okay.
For as far as I recall, all of the time you were there, although maybe not, but the wide majority of your time there, if someone turned 18, it was not notable.
Go
ahead.
I feel like that actually is one that merits a whole episode because I think there's serious potential legal significance about the messaging that they and their cronies at the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department told kids about the significance of turning 18.
But at some point,
serious
so
implications.
for a long time, they kid to be like, I think I'm an adult now. So
I can walk off. And
yeah.
they would tell you, no, you can't. And the cops will make sure that you don't walk off, which I think a cop, that's like.
But then a guy did.
Okay.
And they didn't do anything.
So I was not there for that. Was I?
I'm asking. I don't know. It was around the time you would have left.
I'm not pulling my mic. I just had to swallow a bunch.
Okay. I thought you were really.
Yeah, like yo. I don't really remember it. No.
Well, it's possibly like the watershed moment because after he did it, and everyone was like, "Oh, okay, so like you can."
Yeah.
Then it was like an open question. Anytime someone turned 18. Were they going to walk off?
I was not there. That's an incredible watershed, like milestone moment.
Yes, like a fucking Supreme Court case.
That's like inventing fire, dude,
Yeah.
or like stealing fire from the gods.
And there were a number of kids who did.
Wow. Yeah. I remember, when I first got there, there was a brother and sister. And the sister turned and the sister turned 18 while she was there. Mm-hmm. And I want to say there was something where they told the parents, like, if you take one, take both. Because our authority will look like punks, because we told them they're not leaving. And I remember, according to her, because they didn't stay there that long. Because she graduated high school, and then I think they took them both out. But she was 18 at that point. And when she turned 18, she was like, "Give me the papers. I'm signing myself out." And they were like, "No." And I wonder now, was it like she thought you needed to actually sign papers out? Because clearly this kid was like, "Fuck you, I'm out of here. I'm walking now. You don't actually need to sign papers."
Because he was a person who had like more anger in him than most people I've ever met in my entire life. Like top 1% of 1%.
That's the kind of kid it takes to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, so it wasn't like he wasn't thinking. He was in a fucking fugue state.
Okay.
Like,
he was just like, fuck this. I'm out of here.
Like he was, just whatever, like the angriest thing he could think to do at that time. And storm off was that thing. And so if there had been officers there, I don't know that he would have stopped. But there weren't.
Okay, so...
And then, like, he came back.
Interesting. And just
like,
not of his own accord.
And then just repeated that trick a couple times.
I want to take a moment. I know that is funny that he did that a few times. That's actually very funny. But I don't want to.
I mean, you understand it. It's a rage cycle. Like,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I used to do it as a little kid. I would like run away from home, like to the backyard.
Yeah.
But I do want to not make jokes about. There was a kid that we know that turned 18, and a bunch of kids restrained him at Jamie's behest when he tried to walk off. I recall that. I would testify to that.
Wow.
Under oath.
I have no idea why. I mean, I would think that some degree of it was a bad idea to get in front of him.
Yeah, because he'll fuck you up, dude.
Oh, my God.
This girl, someone could have stopped her. She was like a pretty small girl.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a rage-filled, basically, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's passed. Do you want me to say his name or?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, we can say, I think that rule is okay with us.
It was Lee.
Lee Lovett?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Because I was like, maybe not last name. Well, whatever. Dude, R.I.P.
Complicated figure.
Well,
I would love. I mean, whenever we have the kitchen episode, he's going to be a focus.
Yeah. Fellow New Jersey guy.
Yeah.
There's affection in my heart for him. He's a human like everyone else.
Whenever I think about like I can't, like as much as I like. There are no one-dimensional characters of people I know. I would say he's like the leading example of like, surely I would be able to think of him as like a purely negative character. However, I cannot. Like there were times of his, but I mean like, he did not like me. He threatened violence against me a lot of times. Like I think that my like fucking presence he felt as like adversarial. Like, I don't know. We just had such different philosophies of like what works in life.
Yeah.
That I think that my being was threatening to him, and he reacted to anything that was threatening to him with violence and aggression.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting dynamic. Yeah, I mean, us New Jersey guys are just knock around guys, dude. You know how it is. But I think that's why Excel was such a weird environment because I mean,
I'm pretty much a New Jersey guy.
I fully agree, dude. I mean, as we sit here,
grandfather lived there.
Right.
Most of his life. My dad was born there.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I guess not most of his life. I sense it in you.
Yeah.
Have to say Chicago is at least an equally large time.
I mean, I don't know much about Chicago, but I mean,
he was working at Bell Labs in the suburbs. I don't think that he was very hardened then. One thing I really like about Excel, because it's a different kind of hardened.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean to step on that.
Bell Labs.
I suppose.
No. I'm just.
But I did like that there was violence at my other programs and violence at public schools that I went to that weren't bad schools. It was just like kids like to fight, and I got in fights with kids. Like it's not like I was just like picked on, but I was ready to be done with it. Like it's not my cup of tea. And I actually did feel a sense of relief at Excel. I very rarely, because I wasn't like a rage out, restrained era. I was already very, on the side of like, I'm trying to get out of here. Well, I'll behave and put my head down.
Yeah.
So I never really felt like my physical person would be harmed. And
I would love to hear about your wild days before that.
I wasn't ever like they never restrained like that. when I was new.
But there was times whenever you got in a lot of trouble, right, Shirley?
Yeah, but not like that, dude. I wasn't like
I mean, I didn't get jumpsuited
kid.
until this shit.
Yeah, I think I got
So obviously it's
jumpsuited for a
possible.
similar reason. Like a kid ran away. I got in trouble. The thing is, I would act out. So like one time, I told Sally, like, just like I wasn't paying attention to her, and she like did the thing where she was like, "What did I just say?" And like rather than try or whatever to like say something, I was like, "I don't fucking know. I don't know." I didn't say I don't fucking know. No way I said that.
Be tight though.
Yeah. And I remember she ripped me hard that time. And like
Yeah,
I got
you
it.
got to.
Exactly. But it was always stuff like that where I was just like so overcome with depression from being there that I acted out. And did something stupid that usually involved like being disrespectful to a staff member. Or being a dick to somebody.
So this kid, I would say like one of the most generous people I've ever met in my entire life. Like uniquely, like if you had some, no, I'm talking about someone else.
Oh, okay.
We're not using names. You told me I couldn't use names.
Well, I think that is a good approach. But I thought you were talking about Lise though. Sorry.
You know, every one of these times where like I know what I'm talking about, whenever I listen back to these, I do realize that you're universally right, that it's not clear. So every time I react defensively, and it sounds bad to me on the tape.
I'm trying to be on the listener side, dude.
I'm sorry, Alex.
It's all right,
You are
dude.
right. I was being unclear.
Apologize to the listener.
A kid who I have not really like talked, like the kid whose parents are rich.
Oh, got it. Okay.
He was a very generous soul. Like he's a fun guy. But he definitely had a temper in him. And he also had a situation where, like I said, he was above 18 at a time when kids like left when they turned 18 regularly.
Right.
He was done with high school. Like he got sent there with like months left in high school.
Yeah.
So if you're 18 and done with high school, like there is nothing holding you back.
Yeah.
Except that, like, again, I knew this, and it wasn't. I don't recall it being like privileged information. That his folks had an arrangement with him that if he left with the approval of the program, there was a sum of money waiting.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was at least six figures.
It was like an explicit arrangement.
I think that there was like a contract.
Wow. Okay. Because actually, I mean, nothing like that approached my scenario at all, but they made me feel as if I was jeopardizing any support for like going to college if I tried to leave when I graduated. That's kind of a good way of putting what I've been trying to get at. Like as you were saying that, no contract. And now that I'm older, I know that was never the case. Like my parents would have always supported me.
But you just never had the opportunity to feel them out on something like that.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
And I played it safe. And that's why I also did like that extra time when I guess I could have walked out, but they made me feel as if I would just be walking out into Houston on my own.
And like panhandling until you could get a place.
Yeah, because there were no kids out yet, like really like that. Because I do remember now that you say that era started, in that apartment I described where there were a few kids.
I bet the kids ended up there.
There was kids that walked out, did end up there. And I remember being like, holy shit, dude, kids are walking out. And just thinking like, well, I guess this apartment's here. That makes a huge difference.
It does. I mean,
and definitely,
I'm sure that some of them. I learned about that apartment a year ago. Whenever you told me about it.
See, wow, that's interesting.
But I'm sure that there were kids around who did know that it existed.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Well, I think you could snatch a calling card and then like find out if you just
or
had
have fucking Alex go pick you up from the dorm.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how did we know to do that? How did we get a hold of that guy to know for him to know to meet us? I don't even know.
Love to know.
It has to be he had a cell phone and we had like someone called him or texted him or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I really don't know now.
I mean, it had a computer.
Yeah, but like, how did it?
Didn't have Wi-Fi.
Probably, I mean,
like just Wi-Fi. I remember that whenever my dad told me like that he'd gotten a Wi-Fi card for his laptop.
Yeah.
And that was at Excel. Like, that was a big deal.
Well, I got a Dell to go to college.
Yeah.
And it had a Wi-Fi card.
Okay.
And I remember, like, the college made it a huge deal. It was the first year that there was nowhere on campus that you couldn't get Wi-Fi.
Oh,
And it was like a big deal.
congratulations.
I liked going to the computer lab, dude.
Yeah.
With the big monitors, they had it set up so everyone could just log in to any computer.
I mean,
sick.
I worked for the student newspaper, and it was a thing where the year before I started writing for the student newspaper, I don't even know what this possibly could have been because it was a fucking college, not like a boarding school for high risk adolescents. But the newspaper had done something that pissed off the administration, like some sort of recklessness, kids drinking down there, whatever.
Oh, dang.
Not like
not sticking it to the man.
No,
with
just
with
like
the power of the pen.
just partying too hard. And so they had a choice spot, like it was a whole basement of one of the dorms,
Okay.
one of the cool dorms.
Nice.
And so it was great, but they were like, not with this shit, dude. We're kicking you out. We're changing the faculty advisor.
Good, dude.
Like
I hate the media.
They rooted him out of that basement and put him in like a little fucking side closet.
They put him in the Trump pen, dude.
But as like kind of Olive Branch bought all brand new iMacs.
Ooh.
So like didn't bring the previous computers with. And so these were like, the nicest computers on campus. Like
nice.
Just
Were they
bought
the color scheme ones?
No, this was, probably like, this was 2007. So I think that they were to the, aluminum.
Okay.
Probably like the big ones.
Yeah.
Thick ones. But yeah, so I could go, since I was on I started at the student newspaper when they bought those iMacs.
Okay.
So I always had access to those.
That's tight.
They were dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love a desktop. Struggling right now.
I know, man. You're always talking about it.
I know.
But yeah, so this kid, he's there. I mean, I don't know what I'm sure that like he drank and stuff, but I think that it was primarily like an anger issue thing.
Okay.
Like that he raged out a lot, and his parents were like, "This ain't gonna work."
Sure.
And so they like sent him there to like figure it out.
Okay.
And he definitely had a lot of it. Like he could go off the handle, and I mean, it was hard to square because like it was like a definite phenomenon because he was such a nice guy otherwise.
Yeah.
And so
interesting.
There was a situation where I think that we were like cleaning the school.
Okay.
And so it was me and a staff member and this kid, and then there had to be a couple other kids there. But so the kid had been there. I mean, like I said, he got there with, probably about a year, but like was regularly getting jumpsuited for anger incidents and stuff like that.
Okay.
He wasn't shadowing anyone.
Okay.
And he was talking to the staff member about like how he needed to get his boat license renewed for like a visit or something.
Okay.
And I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know if that's a pressing concern. Like,
it's an absurd sentence in my day.
Like, if your thing's going to go anything like my thing is gone, I don't think you're seeing any boats like tomorrow. Like, this might not be the boating season for you.
Yeah, definitely.
And, I probably leaned into it more just there. I definitely leaned into it more just there. It was just kind of like, you sure you're going to need a boating license?
It's a weird thing to need there.
And he did not like come close to like the full flip out like that he could normally do. But he didn't like the question.
Yeah. I can see why.
And I was, yeah.
now that I'm thinking about it, yeah.
Yeah, no, of course. You don't want to be reminded that you're not going to be. If someone told me right now that I wasn't going to be boating soon, I'd fucking flip.
Well, definitely, dude.
I know.
And obviously, he's had a taste, dude. He's not saying I need a license for the first time ever.
Yeah, he's got to get it renewed.
Yeah. So wait,
I hope to see him out on the waves sometime.
So you made this kid flip out with...
he didn't even really flip. Like, he just got mad.
Out, and you got jumpsuited?
Well, yeah, it was like TC antagonized him, and they were like, how fucking mad he gets.
Ah!
But it wasn't... Here's the thing. This is what I've been building to, dude. This was the whole incident of just him being like, I need my boating license, and me being like, yeah, I don't know if you're going to be on boats soon.
Yeah.
And then him like being kind of like, dude, shut up. You know, like
sure.
Whenever that got brought up, and I don't even think it was by the staff member. Like,
Who
I think
brought
that
it
it
up?
was
Like
like
another
one of the
kid?
other kids was
Okay.
like, yeah, you know, I think that it was even maybe like it started out as like a cursed at TC. Oh shit! I'll write down the time. The
I
kid.
thought you meant the staff member. I was
No,
like,
no,
wait,
no, no.
where are you going? Okay.
The kid cursed at TC, and then they were like,
shit, dude.
"What was going on?"
Shit.
And he's like, "Well, you told me I wasn't going to get a boating license." And again, how, like, in what world does Jamie hear that and not be like, "Well, of course you aren't getting a boating license. You're mine, bitch."
Yeah, definitely.
But instead, she was like, "TC, how could you antagonize him? You know how he struggles with anger."
Damn, dude.
So at that point,
Well, that was classic empathetic Jamie, dude. Just protecting a vulnerable kid
I guess
from
so.
a bully like you, dude. You're always a bully.
And I mean, the
dude.
kid's like 7 inches taller than me. He's a fucking giant.
Yeah. Oh, wait. So, okay. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, okay, one thing at Excel, the kids who would normally resort to violence kind of knew they really shouldn't and couldn't. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
They did. It was such a no-no.
It was impressive that they would be able to draw that line with that population, and there were a couple exceptions, but like really not real. Like
Yeah.
you did not hit people.
Yeah,
there.
well, because I think it's like that kind of parent. If there were a lot of those kids, if you said I'm getting beat up by a kid, there you're gone, and that's a good amount of money out the door.
And just if
And they
you
didn't want
hit
kids to
someone,
get
you were
hit.
going to jail.
True.
Like
Very true.
probably like jail tour for a day.
Yeah.
But like they always kind of said it in a way of like could be assault charges, like you're just going to be there for a while.
Oh, I definitely recall kids who did get arrested for assault while they were at Excel. We had to go pick them up from adult. I think it was the same jail that you toured, but the student wasn't. I think she was over 18, and she was like an inmate. You know, like she got arrested and booked. So it definitely did happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Sally saying, "You do not hit once," like as if to a toddler. But
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah. Use
I
your
guess-
words.
Yeah, and you were talking earlier, like the rebrand after they fired them, and did like the 2007.
Yeah.
I remember reading the marketing materials for that, and they said they weren't accepting kids with like a quote unquote conduct disorder anymore.
Yeah.
Which is like a good amount of the population. Like I guess that's why they had iPods, but.
Hard to say though, dude. Like
A conduct disorder at all? That's like you skip school.
that's
You're defiant to authority.
if they're not accepting kids with conduct orders, they're not accepting any students.
I know.
I
That's
know
what
what they
I'm saying,
said,
dude.
but I'm just saying the way that you're
How
the
insane
way
is
that you're
that?
defining that is definitely not the way they're defining that.
Okay, they mean like little Hannibal Lecters.
The kids that never did drugs at all.
Oh, that were okay.
If you had done drugs once,
you're a
then
drug addict.
You're a drug addict.
Yeah. Okay.
Had to be.
So they were no longer. Not all of those kids were like the most extreme issues.
Dude, they sucked.
I mean, the kids, especially who were younger, who were there for
Like by and
4
large, if anyone listens to this, like that isn't in that group, then I don't mean you. You know, like
what?
Like if I just
Being
said that
there for
everyone who sent
behavior?
there for conduct orders sucked, and I do feel like largely that was true. However, if you are listening to this and you're sent there for a conduct disorder, of course I did not mean you.
Who's? Oh, I thought you were looking at me though.
No, I mean
Oh, okay. Who's to say what I was sent there for? You know what I mean?
yeah. But I'm just saying, if you know, they still like money, I presume during this time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I this gets brought up. Jamie turns it on me. Then it's in that life skills, like I'm back in jumpsuit
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
And actually, I think this happened because I remember standing next to the kid that we got in trouble for the name thing. So I guess this happened twice. Because it definitely happened this time. That she like gets me up on the stage, like with her. Like it's a big stage.
Wait, this is the same amphitheater?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's not an amphitheater.
Right. Yeah. It is in my mind.
It's just a fucking parking lot that has a deck.
So she has you
Because
up on
it's
the
a double
deck.
wide, so you need stairs to get up into it.
So she has you up on the deck.
Yeah, and then it's
Okay.
like go stand in the corner.
The corner
like,
of the deck?
Yes. So it wasn't a corner. I'm just like standing
This
on
is
the
full
deck.
on apocalypto now at this point.
I'm standing on the deck behind her, just like facing the wall.
Okay, yeah, I can picture that. Yeah.
So
You're
just
on that,
as she's doing her fucking life skills shit, like yelling at other people, I'm just standing behind her, facing away from her and all the kids.
Yeah.
Just standing there.
Sun's
And like everyone
beating
can
on
see
you.
me.
Yeah.
Like, and they're all just like looking at me, look at the wall.
Yeah.
And, it's just that's how it goes for the rest of life skills.
Oh,
and
for
then,
sure.
whenever we get back,
Yeah.
it's definitely fucking me in the corner. And I mean, I was in there for weeks off of this.
So during your last 4 months, you were in the corner for weeks?
It was 2 weeks at least. And it was up in like that. It was in that dorm, the like one off in the woods.
Yeah.
So like, it was different up there.
Did you have to stand in the corner in the dorm?
Yeah.
What?
But not stand. Like I had a chair.
Could you tell the listener just what corner status meant at this point? So you're in life skills and you get
It's
told...
the most severe punishment. Like you can get red-shirted, you can get jumpsuited, and then like if you're jumpsuited standing in the corner, and then I guess past that, like they would fuck with food. They would say like you can only eat tuna.
Yeah, so when I was like during the time I mostly recall as, you know what I mean? Like the earlier days, there were a couple kids that were like in the corner status, and being in the corner meant you had to stand. It was like a big deal when you were allowed to sit down.
Yeah.
And that could be weeks. You had to, at first it was eat tuna fish when everyone ate like the nice brunch meal on Sundays. Mm-hmm. And then that gradually expanded to like, as the kitchen's food got better, it was like, why should you have anything that's good? So eventually they were eating tuna fish at every meal. So the corner was kind of like you stood in the corner or you mowed the lawn all day or whatever, and you only ate tuna fish. And that's what you did your entire existence. I guess at school it was questionable whether you would stand in the corner during school, but I think
pretty much always got to sit during school.
Okay, in a desk like a regular kid.
Yeah.
I want to say I can picture kids standing in the corner during school, but I
can't.
Kids who were in the corner. I
can forget things, but
there was a kid who was like not in school for months and stood in the corner and then mowed the lawn.
Yeah.
And so that maybe created an outsized impression for me. But like that's what I'm saying. What does in the corner exactly mean?
I mean, that's
the
thing that you're talking about is part of like a large part of what I'm referring to ending after about 3 months.
When you got there, it ended about 3 months into your tenure.
Like that's when Aspen started reviewing. I mean,
That's when 2002.
Imagining this,
like
I'm
early
just
2002.
Yes, I'm drawing connections that probably Aspen's coming in and saying like this feels like a liability.
All right. Well, okay. Good. I feel like this is good. I agree with that transition, and we got to do an Aspen episode.
Well, I'm not done with the story.
No, I know, but this is directly relevant, dude, to the the corner status.
If you understand that, then say what you're going to say.
Yeah, I do understand. Okay. Yeah. But to your point about when things changed, I remember a kid was in the corner, standing in the corner, eating tuna fish in jumpsuit, and Sally came in. Maybe it was like one of those times when Jamie was sick, and she literally said, "You can sit down, get him real food. We're not doing that anymore." And it was, I bet it was right around that same time. And
because Sally, our understanding, again, same deal of like, this is just, we're smart people and like have tried to figure out how things work.
Yeah.
Fuck you. And, Sally, I mean, she just wasn't there as much as Jamie, but was still like an owner and like.
Well, your hypothesis as a smart person, which I agree with, is that part of her absence before that was her putting the deal together to get that Aspen money in there.
Because she was never on campus, but she was always presented as like a big deal in the school. Like it's not like they were like, Sally's going to be working here less. They would even like make reference to like, well, what Sally does, like she's out there, really working hard for you guys in different ways.
Yeah.
Like they would say stuff like that.
Yeah, and she was always
the thing that she was doing was courting the money.
Yeah, and she was always with people that they didn't really introduce.
Yeah.
And she was constantly like bringing them around and being like, do this, do that. When it was dinner theater routines, it was like, do a random song and dance for these people. I'm not going to tell you who they are.
Yeah.
And it was...
They would say our friends.
Yeah. And it seems obvious that at least some of them are money people, Aspen people, people evaluating the school as, this capital entity is.
That's really interesting. You remember Sally being like, yeah, that one we don't do anymore. That's too harsh.
Yeah, dude, definitely.
But,
I remember being like, holy shit, new era.
Sally thought that she was in control.
Well, she was with that. I remember being like, Jamie's not going to like that. In my head, I was like, this is a new moment.
Jamie brought that back out whenever she felt like it.
Well, I feel like it's a barometer of kind of who's in charge. You know what I mean? I feel like it also gets to like the book stuff because like Sally was very pro kids reading books, and Jamie in her like most evil moments was like, burn the books.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, I think
I'm sure literature felt threatening to her.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think if you wrote a movie about Excel, it wouldn't be the true story, but you could tell a story where you like put what it could have been in like the Sally character and what it ended up being in under Jamie's leadership with Jamie.
Yeah.
But it's more complicated than that for sure.
Yeah, you're right.
But
of course.
I feel like that tension
But I think
is
that
present.
Sally had a school that she wanted to run, and I don't think I attended that school at any time.
Dude, there was one time when she came in with some of those randos, and we were doing study hall, and we were allowed to read books in study hall then. Mm-hmm. And she like made us all list the authors we were reading, and she like looked at the people like, you know what I mean?
You've heard of those.
Like, yeah, exactly. And there's this book called Never Let Me Go about like human clone people that are like freaks. And there's like, they bring in the people to look at them to be like, look, the clones are humans too. And it's the exact same vibe, dude. Like when I was reading it, I was like, that's like when Sally was like, look, I got him fucking reading. What do you think about that? Like, I like reading about like these clone kids who are going to be harvested for their organs.
You're right.
Like, because they had them do art.
Yeah.
And then they brought in people that were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, yeah, I know.
I've been one of those clones.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm in the corner. There was another kid that they were mad at the same time who was like a newer kid. Mm-hmm. So that was how they like cleanly did this whole thing of like, being able to punish me without wasting what I could do for them.
No way. If you're about to say what I think you're going to say.
You're shadowing him in the corner.
That's absurd, dude. I mean, you got to respect the craft on that one.
You do.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, me and him would just get fucking meals in the corner. Like, if someone else like saw us talking, like we're going to be in there longer.
Okay, so you were shadowing, but you had to be like silent. Dude, it's almost like a mime. Like, you know what I mean? You have to be like...
Oh, you would do that because there's like blackout between kids.
I just did a mime bit. I just want to be clear. We have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I mean, that's news to me,
too. To plug that, dude.
You had a lot of the pantomiming things because blackout was whenever two kids couldn't talk to each other or if a group of kids couldn't talk to like other people in that class. But there was also blackout where like staff was trying to like do something.
Oh, when it was too loud.
They're doing phone calls or like Nana's got a headache.
Yeah, dude, I wonder what the decibel levels actually were, dude.
They had to be high.
Well, dude, you've been out to Trinity Groves?
Yeah.
So there's one of the places, I guess they changed.
Kind of looks like the lodge.
Yeah, it does. It kind of does, dude. Now that you mentioned it. It's
steel siding buildings.
Dallas food hall type place, I guess. There was like a seafood place in there that had a really high ceiling with like all the exposed shit and no insulation. And I was like, this is lodge level, dude. Cause like we would go there, when I was working and, I was like, we need blackout. It like reminded me, it was like that same, it was like cacophonous, dude. It really did. The noise is hard for me, man. Like I like earplugs when I'm working and stuff. And it was stressful. I now kind of relate to those staff members, but what do you expect, man?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of kids in a building.
No, it's not like all of them were screaming.
No, it's just regular talking.
Like to be able to hear yourself over the din of the other people.
Yeah, but it became like a tragedy of the commons, kind of like everyone escalated their volume to be heard over the din, but that created a problem where everyone was gradually increasing their volume until it was intolerable, dude. And then a staff member would just go, blackout. And then you
They
had
would
to have
flick
a
the lights.
blackout.
See, yeah, they'd go up to the lights and flick them to get your attention.
Dude. So they didn't flick light. Dude, when blackouts first started, it was massive flex. A staff member, sometimes I think they would whisper it, dude, just to try to see how quick they could get
And
it.
I feel like you were going for Nana's voice there. In my mind, it's always Sherry yelling blackout.
Really?
Her voice yelling, it's like it's a fucking bomb in your ear.
I feel like I flew too close to the sun. It was fun to do. Every time I'm like, I won't do it this time.
Yeah, that was like that to me, it was illustrative of the kind of thing where it's like, I'm obviously being punished. Like they literally won't let me speak. But like they're not even attempting to make a case that I personally have done something here. Like this is the kind of fucking the punishment that just is a necessary part of like this situation. And,
yeah, definitely.
That's the fucked up thing about the school is like they needed to fuck with you just so that the school could continue to exist. Like regardless of your even their evaluation of your behavior.
Yeah.
Was separate from whether or not you were going to be fucked with. You were going to be fucked with. It was in the same way that there was fucking dirt on the ground, or fucking sky was blue.
The smooth running of the institution becomes more important than any person or your, I don't know, person.
So that's why I think places like that shouldn't exist.
Yeah, jail I think is like that, honestly, much worse. But yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so I was put in the corner for that incident, and then so that kid that I was in the corner with, he had been out in the real world. I mean, this was April 2005.
Okay.
And so he'd probably gotten there at the end of 2004, I would bet. And couldn't talk in the corner, but we were, like I said, up kind of in the woods. And so whenever we would walk down to the lodge for breakfast, then it's just whatever. I don't think he knew, the staff wasn't telling us to shut up at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could talk to him on the way down. And that is when he would describe to me in great detail, because he had a full recall of seeing every episode of the first season of Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Unbelievable.
And it was the only time I've ever... I mean, there's a lot of, little moments like this, but this is a big one where it's you are participating in an oral history.
Yeah.
How fucking Cicero would hand his shit down.
Yeah, definitely.
Where he's
the sacred scriptures,
and
dude.
then Meatwad says...
I love it, dude.
Did
he do voices?
Tell me about Carl. He would. He was pretty
dude.
good at them. And I'd really because whenever it's that fucking juxtaposition, which is a word I learned at Excel.
Sure.
Mr. Love taught me that one.
Okay.
Whenever just because they were attempting so hard to fuck with me at that time, to have such a fucking brilliant moment of respite. I think of those walks down with him explaining Aqua Teen episodes. I think that was the happiest I was while I was there.
Wow.
I mean,
I see what you're saying.
There was
definitely.
some moments, but
no, I'm just saying that's
that
high
one was
praise
good.
because there were happy moments.
There really were
there for a while.
There really were.
But I was gonna say, as you were saying that, probably that's better than actual Aqua Teen. As a memory. I've seen the first season of Aqua Teen. I love it.
Fucking rules.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've seen more than the first season.
Yeah.
I have not seen every episode of Aqua Teen though.
They got a lot of them.
Yeah, exactly. But I've seen quite a bit.
And he had seen one episode of The Brack Show, which he described in detail, and I've now played the clip that is the nut of that episode so many times that Megan just hates it. Whenever she hears the fucking first word.
I don't know what The Brack Show is.
I mean, you surely you were out for Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
I think that was before I went to Excel.
That's what I'm saying.
Out. Yeah.
And on there's a character named Brack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Say no more.
But I think it's the second episode of the show. I'm trying to remember. The name of the alien is Pepper.
Okay.
I think that might be in the name of the episode. But it's that aliens have come down and they're going to be selecting their mate. And
okay.
the dad is like going on about how surely they're going to select him. And the mom is like, "Are you sure they won't select me, Gumball?" Oh no, that's not. Sorry, me, dear.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Of course not, Buttercup. Space is a vacuum, not a place that needs to be vacuumed."
Okay.
And then, oh God, what is
Classic.
it? Oh, then Brack's like, what do they do if they do? Well, what do they do for me if they select you? And he's like, I'm sure there'll be a suitable substitute. And then it goes into a dream sequence: suitable substitute, suitable substitute. And Brack is then dreaming of a gumball machine being his dad instead.
Okay. All right.
It's an aggressively dumb show.
I see what you're saying. I have conflicting thoughts, dude. Juxtaposition, because on the one hand, I'm like, he's doing a pretty good job himself of recounting an episode. You know, he's carrying on the tradition. On the other hand, I'm like, I see what Megan's saying. You know, so
Whatever. It's a good episode. Fair enough. I didn't bring it to life in the way that it deserves.
I honestly don't know who Brack is, dude. I think I kind of passed over it a
need
little
all
fast.
all the context on all this.
I was never like
I'm assuming you're going to fill in a lot of gaps that are required to make this funny, and maybe it's just not funny. It's not important, anyways.
Well, I'm just trying to say, like, I don't think you should feel bad. I barely know who Space Ghost is. Like, I remember the show, but
Yeah.
I don't know Brack, dude.
Okay. Fair enough.
You know, that's all.
But so, as you'll recall, whenever we started talking, you and I, so the beginning of the previous episode, I was describing to you that my grandmother was in a situation.
Right.
My grandmother, who I love very dearly,
Right.
you know, top family member.
Right.
She was, you know, just kind of like they were always worried that she wasn't doing enough to get out. Wasn't like out there living life, trying to really like, you know, reclaim, like figure out what this was going to be for her rather than just like wait out the clock.
Right. Good.
And so their like big push on this was she's going to have for like a month, I think she went down to Naples, Florida.
Beautiful.
And, you know, had
White
some
sand
kind of like
beaches.
condo thing.
Nice.
And for spring break of my senior year, plans made, tickets bought. I'm going down half. I get to go home and hang out with all my old friends, which they don't know I'm doing, but I
Right.
was doing,
Okay.
and it was tight. And the other half on the beach in Florida.
Wow. That's unbelievable for a visit while you're at Excel, to me.
And whenever that kid
That's
flipped
quite-
out because I told him that he couldn't get his boating license,
Yeah.
that was taken away.
What? Wow. What did your parents say?
It was the same thing, you know, every time, like the thing I described.
Oh, you told. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I feel like I told them. I feel like I think that they put that off onto me of like, you got to
Yeah.
let them know.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I think that sometimes they would want you to put punishment in like, this is what I asked for because I care about getting better.
Sure.
And so I
Yeah.
think a good part of that process, like there was kids who would stay an extra 6 months.
Right,
As they're
right.
telling their parents the pitch of
Right.
like, I need 6 more months.
That's so crazy to me.
And so I
Yeah.
think that it was something like that. And my parents, you know, like talked to the school and was like, so like they were flying out there, obviously, and they were going to fly from Houston.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
And so they didn't want to like pay to change the plane tickets.
Okay.
So they drove down to Houston anyways. They were like, we're going to be there. Like, can we see him? And so they like bought some Arby's and we just sat in the office with me in a jumpsuit, just fucking sharing some Arby's together as
thinking
they're about to fly to Naples, Florida for a fucking, you know, long weekend in the sand.
Dang. And it's perhaps the darkest days of Arby's, dude. I mean, this is many rebrands ago.
I love Arby's at all points.
I mean, okay.
Probably my favorite fast food.
Well, then that's a plus because that is the bleakest visit like I've ever heard, dude. That's rough, dude.
Just imagine the fucking tone. I mean, it wasn't like a full visit. It was like just the time for us to eat this Arby's. Like, I don't think that they wanted to give me like a 6-hour visit.
Yeah.
And I don't think like it worked out time wise. You know, like they had to catch this flight.
Right.
So it was just like an hour of me sitting there and all them being like, yeah, you know, we're sorry about all this, I guess.
Naples, we're looking forward to it.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Damn. And so they had to tell your grandma, TC's not here because he told some kid he's not going to get his boating license.
I'm sure it didn't even get relayed that way, dude. I'm sure it was fucking TC's not here because he fucked up.
Probably.
Because I just told them that I fucked up.
But they didn't say it like that to grandma. TC fucked up.
I mean, you know, I like, what's the good way? Like, they had to convey that, like, this was a punishment. I know that she understood it was a punishment.
Really?
She wrote me every week I was there.
Whoa. That's diligent.
She's a big time letter writer, and as much as I like her, she likes me the same amount, you know? Like,
yeah, I hear you.
She's a big fan.
That's great, dude. I do think letter writing, it seems, lost art a little bit. I feel like the grandparents
That was definitely her opinion.
The Excel kids were hitting them.
She was definitely like frustrated by the way the rest of the world, and like I would call her on the phone all the time, and she would kind of be like seeming like she wanted to get off.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Just be like,
yeah.
Well, and I'm like, I called you 2 seconds ago, Grandma. Like, can we talk a little bit? And she would but then she would write fucking 5 pages of a letter.
Well, maybe she's more like you. Like, she likes to focus on what she's doing, so a call is more of an interruption. But like, then she sits down, puts her thoughts in order.
Yeah.
And I think that's nice. I mean, my grandma was more of a card. She would send a lot of cards. Mm-hmm. But then when 9/11 happened, yeah, dude. No, I love it, dude. I respect it. No, just one letter, dude. But I still have it.
About 9/11?
Yes.
You still have it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have it with me. I think it's at my parents' house, but I cherish it.
Yeah.
It really is a powerful letter. So
my uncle wrote me a letter that meant a lot to me. Like, and I feel like the most we communicated, like, in my life was that letter.
Oh, dude. I mean, this letter was like that's awesome. I like that. Yeah, I would get like random letters from family members where I was like, this is a surprisingly heartfelt letter. Like,
yeah.
I didn't know we were this close. But it's like, I think people weren't sure exactly how to write to kids at Excel.
Yeah.
But my grandma's letter was not just to me. She sent the letter to every grandkid. And it was like she got out the typewriter because 9/11 happened, dude. She was fired up. And she was just like, to my grandkids, like, 9/11 has happened, as you know. Like, it didn't start out. That would be an amazing first sentence. But, it was like.
She was like a literary lady, right?
No, that's the other grandma.
Oh, that's the end grandma. Okay.
So, no, this was just like pure. She was just feeling that the grandkids need to know this stuff.
Okay.
So she was like, listen up. I've seen stuff before. We had the Great Depression. We had World War II. We had Vietnam. Or like, well, I don't even know, what she was throwing in by the end of it.
Yeah.
And she was like, we'll get through this, just hang in there, be tough, pray to God, take your vitamins. And it was like, it was typed out. Like, I don't know if she typed it like in triplicate, like a couple of times, because she has a lot of grandkids. But it was like every grandkid was like, you got the 9/11 letter. Like, it was sick.
Yeah. That's cool.
So getting that at Excel did rule. Like, it's probably my favorite letter I got.
Yeah, I have letters written to me, and I also have a lot of the letters I wrote.
That you wrote to your parents, they saved, and now you have?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, the overwhelming thing is how boring they are.
Well, they had to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't write about the anguish of being like imprisoned and ripped away from your home.
I was often telling them that I'm loving the spring-like weather we're having.
Yeah, I'm sure. What are you saying? Like, we had school today. I'm working on a project, or
List of movies that we watched this weekend.
Okay.
Just a list. No reaction.
We watched The Patriot. We watched, whatever. I know you weren't there during Mel era.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I guess I've told my version of all these things, but, listener, think of like another way. Like, what's the most damning way that I was making fun of that girl for her attempting a life metamorphosis, that I was... picking on the other one, like, just because I was a merciless, like, whatever. Like, I don't know. What's the What's the formulation that you'd like to come up with where, like, it makes total sense that, like, a week of time with my fucking sainted grandmother, like, was a reasonable sacrifice given this behavior?
Yeah.
I don't think it exists.
Well, and also you're made
I
to
think it's
like
pretty fucked up.
be in a dehumanized state. It's not like you just didn't see your grandma. You're in this like horrible, like, you know, standing in the corner.
Yeah, I'm just
like
fucking
all that shit too.
munching an Arby's, sitting there in a jumpsuit.
Yeah, dude. I agree. I think put it in the worst way you want to, and then ask yourself, do these punishments fit these crimes? You know, even if you want to phrase them as crimes.
Yeah, because you know, I acknowledge I'm giving my perspective on it. You know, like I'm including the details that I think make sense. I'm sure, you know, dude. See, here's the thing about all of it. Like, if Jamie were sitting here, like, there's no way she remembers this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, she did the way that, like, they're just fucking, you know, wrecking lives casually in a way that meant nothing to them.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree. I think the way that I've been thinking more about, like, will she ever come on the pod?
Not really worth thinking about,
I don't think she will.
I agree.
But, you know, we were talking earlier about, like, the various legal options.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way it would work. I mean...
That's how to get her on the pod?
Well, to get her on the deposition pod.
Yeah.
The original pod of the videotape deposition. Mm-hmm. Like... Because, you know, you file your complaint, then they file a response. Deposing people?
No.
You got to do a lot of other stuff, too.
You just explained to me that you have videogrophers for depositions.
I don't know if you're up to it yet, dude. You know? I mean, these guys are good.
You haven't seen my work.
I have, dude. We're
not the most recent stuff. Well, you think that this isn't...
You can't bring a drone into the deposition, dude.
I'm not saying I would, dude.
You know?
You don't even know the fucking array of tools that I have.
What's your background situation?
Dude, I could figure it. So
you got to set up a background. You got to mic people up. That's the big one.
Yeah.
It's a pretty chill job, honestly.
Yeah.
And then you just sit there.
Why won't you get me a fucking gig?
I would if I did depositions still. I'd hire you. I mean, if you were competent, which I have no doubt that you would be.
Fuck you, dude.
What do you mean?
That was a real half-assed. I'm going to bring up the problem and then,
saying,
I guess it's not a problem.
Well, I'm not
sure
in the market for videographers right now. But what I'm saying is just that maybe I shouldn't have voiced it, but I would want to see at least one deposition that you had filmed because I can't go back to my client and be like, hey, he's my friend.
So there's other depositions from fucking who, dude? A friend of mine that's closer than you?
We'll do a dry run.
Okay, I could do that.
You know?
I could, but I mean, it's not going to be a deposition.
Yeah, dry run. Just, dry run. Set it up with your background. The background is so important. I can't impress upon this.
Just make it a green screen. You can figure everything else out after.
Dude. You walk in a depot with a green screen?
Yeah, dude.
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
You can have like porn
the depot's
playing behind them.
dude, if you do that. You just cost everyone a day.
What, you just getting the fucking kid school photography background?
Yeah, you need like clouds with the blue sky is a good one.
Yeah, that sounds great.
It's dude.
You don't want a background anyway, dude. You want to create a sense of depth in the shot.
No, dude, you don't know where you are, dude. You're trying to be like an artist. You're there to provide a service. It's just like you can't go into certain places with a Prezi.
I'm sorry that my depositions aren't fucking...
Well, you don't have any. No one's hired
They're
you,
too
dude.
beautiful.
And I won't either, dude. You hear you see what I'm saying, dude? You got to be... You can't look like you're different. It's something different. You know what I mean?
I mean, the principles I'm talking about are used in nearly every interview you've ever seen in your entire life, so I reject the idea it would look different.
No, dude. A green screen in a deposition?
No, I said throw out the green screen because it doesn't create enough depth in the shot.
Oh, okay. Throw out the green screen. Get rid of it.
You shouldn't have a screen. That doesn't create depth in the shot.
Oh, yeah. No, they like the depth because I don't know why. I have to think
it makes
it uniform. When I say depth, I mean the background.
Oh.
But I guess they don't always do it. Like in the Jeffrey Epstein egg-shaped penis deposition, as I recall that clip, I don't think they're using a background.
But like, If you don't believe me on what I'm saying, think back to the Oprah interview. Like, is Meghan Markle sitting in front of a fucking background, or does she have an entire large yard that she's got? And I mean, like, they
agree,
fucking commandeered that house just for it because they knew how important it was to establish a depth behind the shot.
That's not a deposition, dude.
Functionally the same in our society, dude.
Why didn't they paint them?
It's not important. I think that, I mean, you know, that's what I got.
All right, I think this is a good out. Well, I don't know how we did on time.
It's about 90 minutes.
90 minutes?
Yeah.
I think that's a good. What do you think?
You got anything else? Anything you need to get off your chest?
I'm trying to think. Not yet.